All right, now, yeah, how's the process go to get approval to do flights? Now, if you go to the Office of Research Assurances, the ORA office, this is their website here, and you go under UAS, you'll see under the UAS tab in the Office of Research, you'll see a Submit UAS Application. You just click on this, and there's a quite long form, a packet you want to fill out. This is just some of the information, the basic information the committee would like to have to start the process to reviewing a UAS application. As much information as possible is what I tell people to provide. We're talking about where you're flying, who's your visual observers, permissions, basically as much information you can provide in your packet will greatly increase the speed of the application review. And especially if you're going to be flying somewhere where maybe you're dealing with controlled airspace or somewhere that may have a temporary flight restrictions, things like that. The more information, the better. Most of the times we can turn around we've got it down to about less than a week, especially if it's you're looking at flying in Class G, uncontrolled airspace in the middle of nowhere, where risk is extremely low. The committee would be able to get that information turned around really quickly and probably within a week get approval. Now, if you want to provide good information to the committee, this is one good source to find out Sky Vector. This is an aeronautical charts, so you can look and see where you're flying at, learn out if you're in flight paths, how close are you to airports. One thing about Sky Vector, it will actually show like helipads that will not show up on the ArcGIS map through FAA, or it also will show private airstrips, which will not show up on the ArcGIS map. So this was a great resource if you're not really sure if there's anything that may of concern in the area where you want to fly. I would go ahead and check out Sky Vector. Now, the ArcGIS site is what I use to kind of look up this is where you're flying, where I'm kind of reviewing applications before it sends on to the committee. Is it controlled airspace? And this is another good resource. This map here is actually shows the University of Idaho, the Moscow campus. Now, the entire Moscow campus is actually a controlled airspace because we're within the envelope for the Moscow-Pullman airport. So if you're wanting to fly on campus, you're going to have to deal with getting permissions to fly in controlled airspace. So this is, again, another great resource to find out if there's any issues where you're wanting to fly. Now, before you fly, now you've submitted the application, and before you even fly, if you're flying over private property, the UAS committee requires written approval from that private property owner before you can fly. So even if it's an email, you still have to get some prior approval to fly there in writing. And of course, you're flying on campus, you have to coordinate with UI facilities to make sure that area or venue is available. If you go on that UAS, their website on the ORA, you can also find some additional forms if you want to learn more about FAA regulations. So you have to go digging through the FAA website, which can be quite daunting at times. But this is where you can also find some of the forms you may need for like your insurance, some vendor agreements if you're using vendors. But this is also a great resource. Now, this is our current committee. It's a 6-member committee. This is the committee that will review your actual application. As you can see, we actually have some faculty members, someone from Creative Services, Public Safety and Security. They review applications, but they do not do the final approval. The final approval goes to the VP of Research. But this is my folks that I kind of really lean on. They're super users. Jason Carl flies all the time. Same with Ja Rue. Melissa Hartley with Creative Services. So these are some great folks. If I can't answer it, I'll reach out to my folks on the committee. So that was quick and dirty, or quick and easy if you want to call it. So I want to open it up to if anybody has any questions about the process or any other thing. If I can't answer it right away, I can be able to get back to you. So I'll open it up to questions.
Good job, Russ.
It's not my wheelhouse. I'm still learning, so I'll do my best and help our UAS users out.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Can you recommend a flight school?
I've done a couple trainings, but I'm not certified. But through SkyWest, I think that's one you can maybe reach out to. I went to a couple of their webinars, and I would probably recommend maybe reaching out to them initially. If you want to learn to fly, the Part 107 regulations allows you to fly under the control of a Part 107 certified pilot. So I would maybe reach out to, if you want to learn to fly, reach out to NKN or Dr. Jason Carl, and he'll actually be able to they'll actually can take you out, teach you how to fly before you even do your Part 107 certification process. And if you like, I could actually maybe put you in touch with some of the people if you would like.
Yeah, I guess, would that be, I do know Jason, so I guess I thought you had to have kind of like a formal training as a pilot.
As long as, because we have this quite often where you'll have the drone operator, but if they're under control physically with the PIC, the pilot and control that is Part 107 certified, they can actually fly the drone without being certified, as long as they're under the direct instruction of a certified pilot.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Russ, yeah, nice presentation. Don't sell yourself short, man. You may have said, but I'm triple tasking right now. Are there sanctions that follow faculty members who launch off without any awareness of any of this?
That is we're currently working on how best, because it's kind of tough to get, is it a major incident? Is it a minor incident? How we want to, there's nothing official yet. It may be just, if there's an incident, it may be only a letter from the VP saying, don't do that again. But right now, there is no set sanction for if someone basically breaks the rules.
Okay. I asked because I work in proposals, and it's really hard to predict which engineers will use the drone, but some of them definitely do. And so I try to catch that at the proposal level. Are you using any sort of aerial drone? If so, you need to talk to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now, there's no mechanism for sanctioning but again, that could go with the VP of research. If something is, it could be up to, because the VP makes that final approval for flights. And, I haven't had a chance to talk with Dr. Kristen Murrard, the new VP of research, about how we want to move forward. But that's something that's at our next regular UAS committee meeting. That's actually on our agenda, kind of start doing some discussions about that.
Thanks. And the second question that probably only applies to me, are underwater drones still excluded from the aerial drone?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
You
I
can
have-
look like, I don't think, we don't have any interaction with terrestrial or underwater drones. This is all
Okay, good.
aerial vehicles.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Yeah, so Russell, I'm extension faculty in Southern Idaho. And so besides our normal research demonstrations and that kind of thing, we're often called to go out to farms to evaluate insect damage or hail damage or some of those kinds of things. And I could see where a drone would be quite useful for trying to fly over a pivot or a field without having to walk through the whole thing. But it sounds like from what you're saying that such sort of incidental uses would not be allowed without having to go through a full approval process.
What I would recommend, because we can actually do what they call blanket approvals. If you know the general area where you're going to be potentially be operating, you could put in a request which for a blanket for up to a year, and the committee would review that, and you could fly any time in there. Once your blanket's approved for that general area, you wouldn't have to ask for a request for every flight. You would have a blanket approval for that area.
Okay, great, thank you.
So most times, I mean, a lot of our, particularly researchers, will do a blanket approval for their research for a year, so they don't have to keep on putting in for every flight. They have basically open for that entire year for that area.
Okay, that would be helpful, thank you.
Yeah, so matter of fact, I think we just did one approval for an area, and that's exactly what they were doing, is going to look at insect damage. And they basically just did a blanket for the next growing year for a general area. They still have to, if they go with outside that area that they have the approval for, they would have to do another request. But if they stay within that area, they're good for that entire year.
Okay.
And just to double check, after you conduct a flight, there's no follow-up paperwork to do?
No follow-up paperwork. The only paperwork we would request is if there was an incident. If there's a drone crash or some other incident, we would request a follow-up. And of course, if it's a damage or an injury, it would go to risk. But that's the only time we would require a follow-up. But if we don't have any more questions, I appreciate your time. I know it's only a half hour, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. If it's an insurance issue for your drone, I can assist that. But Carrie Salonen in risk management, I see her online, would definitely be would be able to answer that questions also. If you need to anything from registering your drone to your flights, I'll be able to help you as best as I can.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, and hope you guys have enjoy the weather.